to our bees is a twofold situation. First, the loss of habitat, and second, through a disorder called CCD, or colony collapse disorder, our bees are disappearing.
The impact of bees as pollinators is far greater than first imagined. Should we lose our bees, scenes of grocery stores with bountiful displays of fruits and vegetables, both fresh and canned, would be gone. With the loss of our bees, no more would we see the beautiful flowers adorning our gardens and dinner tables, or helping to make that special occasion even more special.
Bees, when we're thinking about the pollinators, we're always thinking about they do flowers, and we really take for granted that there's a whole lot more to bees than just pollinating flowers. There's all the fruits, the vegetables, the grains, the orchards. Most orchards are pollinated by the mason bee family. Although we say a mason bee, well, we're talking about 45 different species of mason bees. They come pretty much in the same size. They have quite a variance in color, and are primarily the orchard family bee pollinators. They also work heavily in the grain fields, like alfalfa. The squash bee, which is primarily a gardener's best friend and does a lot of pollinating of the different types of garden vegetables, is amazing because it gets its home from another bee which people find greatly intrusive, which is a carpenter bee. They're very aggressive. They drill holes in people's decks and eat wood and window ledges and houses, and people are always so frustrated with the carpenter bee. But the greatest thing about them is they make the home for the squash bee. After a carpenter bee larvae hatches out, a squash bee will move into that residence, lay their egg, and if it was not for that help of finding a home or creating a home, the squash bee, which works great for the gardeners, wouldn't have a place to reproduce. Like, for instance, this goldenrod honey. Although the honeybees have yielded the harvest of these goldenrods, it's a fact that when the native bees are in the field, honeybees will work 5 times harder to produce or to gather what they need. So not only are we losing honeybees and trying to replace them in the pollination order, but when native bees are around, those honeybees that are still in existence are working 5 times harder in order to accomplish things. Up until today, across our country, whenever the word bee was mentioned or the bee problem was mentioned, we always added, "we don't know."
As we have learned so often in the past, it is best to look to what nature has already provided, and that is what Chester Lee has done.
One of the solutions as replacing honeybees in the pollinator structure concerning the Department of Agriculture is the use of our native bees. There are some 4,000 pollinators of different types, sizes, and shapes on the North American continent. Most people think of bees, they usually generally go right to a bumblebee or the honeybees. What they fail to realize is there's a great number of other pollinators. These other bees, in many cases, are solitary creatures. They don't live in colonies or hives. And because of that fact, they're free from the CCD disorder.
So the question is, where do these bees live?
But the most important thing we can do is provide habitat. Most of our pollinators are using standing dead timber as their propagation or egg-laying residence. If you'll see, this is a natural bee tree. It's pretty hard to tell how many years this has been standing here like this. But you can see these are natural bee holes. The holes were made probably by woodpeckers or birds looking for larvae. When they are done, they leave the hole, the bees will fly by, they will discover it and lay their eggs. Usually between 3 and 6 feet on standing in the timber is where you'll come in contact with most of your bees.
After many years of research and study of specifically bee habitat and behavior, Master Gardener Chester Lee has come up with a very natural solution to this problem: the bee pole.
Bee poles, or going out into the woodlands and the forests and collecting standing dead timber, harvesting it in a responsible way as not to strip the material from the area that we're taking it from so as to wipe out the colonies that are there, but to responsibly and respectfully remove it in a way so that we can better utilize it across the United States. By drilling a hole 1/2 inch deep, we know that an egg that is laid in that hole will hatch out to be a worker bee. If we drill a hole 3/4 inch deep, the larvae that hatches out of that particular hole is a queen. So if we want more native bees in an area, we drill more holes for queens. A queen can lay between 400 600 eggs a day, so we can control our numbers. Bees generally hatching out of a bee pole stay within 3 to 5 acres. So by placing the poles 5 acres apart and then controlling the numbers in each pole, we can disperse the bees as evenly as possible to better utilize the pollination problem.
The question is how can we as a nation begin to solve this problem?
One of the things that we have to do is to provide habitat. Habitat can be done by placing bee poles across the nation from the Atlantic to the Pacific at roughly 5 acres apart.
This may sound monumental at first. However, when we consider that our raw material is our own standing dead timber, the perspective changes.
How can one person, one company, one nation go across thousands of miles and place bee poles at 5 acres apart? With
Chester Lee's patented process for creating bee habitation, we keep America at the forefront of food production because the vital link of pollination has been secured. If the question is where and when do we begin, it has to be here and now. And if it is who, it must be us.